For this video, I sat down with my wife and some good friends of mine and really discussed what the top reasons were that we moved here to Durango, and I'm going to share that with you today. Some of those reasons were the pace of life, how peaceful the pace of life really is here, and we're going to give you several examples of that, really go into detail on that, of examples straight from my life and my wife's. And then we're going to talk about how the outdoors isn't just close, but it's really part of everyone's everyday life, or the majority of people that live here. And again, give some specific examples of how that can be so close to you, how easy it is to go for a bike ride or go skiing, give you the exact distances of things, of places from certain neighborhoods. And then we're also going to talk about the culture and just how there's so many things to do here compared to many other mountain towns, and go in depth, give you specific examples, talk about specific concerts and events that we have, and much, much more. And we're jumping into it right now. By the way, guys, my name's Jon Burden. I'm a licensed realtor here in Durango and Southwest Colorado. And as much as I love shooting these videos, I even love more helping you with your real estate needs. If you're even thinking about moving to Southwest Colorado, give me a call, text, or email. Love to hop on a quick call with you, discuss your criteria, really help you filter out that criteria, and really narrow in on some of the areas, some of the homes that you would really like. Make sure to show you some things that you might not like about some of the homes, some of the areas that you're looking at, and really make sure it's a smooth and informed process. Let's jump back into the video. Now, the first point I want to make is the pace of life in Durango is addictively peaceful here. And I want to talk about a few things that really highlights that. So the first is there really is no rush hour here in Durango. An average drive in Durango is about 16 minutes, an average one-way commute. The national average is about 26 minutes. So really your rush hour in Durango doesn't exist. We do have times where it's a little bit longer to get somewhere, but we're talking 2 minutes on a 15-minute drive. And really what could change that is deer or elk crossing the street, crossing the highway. You want to slow down. You really want to be aware when you see people flash their lights. It's not usually because there's a cop. It's usually because there's deer or elk crossing the street, or maybe the occasional group of turkeys as well. And that's always fun. Just kind of slow down, watch them, flip out your camera, share a video with some friends. And then the other thing that I want to point out is you've got maybe every now and then you're going to be a little bit slower because of schools letting out. And the other reason your drive might be a little bit slower is going to be the winters. It's going to be ice on the roads, which really as a whole, they do a phenomenal job plowing the streets. So you're not going to be too worried about that, but that might be one reason if you're in a larger snowstorm and you're just trying to be careful, or the people ahead of you are being more careful, as we do get a lot of tourism and a lot of people that just aren't used to the snow here and the roads. But overall, they do a great job of plowing the roads. I do want to assure you of that. They do a great job of plowing the neighborhoods as well. Happy to discuss that in more detail, of course. Then the other thing is going to be if we're having large events or construction. So some of those little items that are, maybe once a month, or there's a couple streets that are blocked off because of construction, or you're just going around that construction, it's a little bit slower. But we're really talking, again, a couple minutes on a 15 to 20 minute drive might slow you down a tiny bit. But overall, I've rarely had a trip where it's taken me 30 minutes when I thought it was going to be 15. Then another way you'll feel that relaxed daily rhythm in Durango is a lot of shops as well as restaurants are going to close a lot earlier than many other bigger cities. You will drastically see that. I highly recommend just going on Google, looking at some of the times that places close, and compare it to where you're from. Now, if you're from a small town, you might have that same thing, but you'll also notice in those kind of shoulder seasons, some of these restaurants will just be closed for a month or two at a time because their season just gets a lot slower for them, harder to staff, and so on and so forth. So you also will see that in some of those shoulder seasons as well. Now, while we're discussing how peaceful it is, I really want to point out to you some things that we see throughout the summer, just to kind of illustrate that point. Almost every night throughout the summer, we'll actually hear coyotes off in the distance. We'll hear or we'll see bear tracks throughout our neighborhood. So of course you do want to be cautious, but we've rarely, actually never seen a bear in our neighborhood, but just seen those bear tracks throughout the neighborhood. Then we'll also see owls as well as hear owls, especially actually, right in the trees right around our house, and it's really fun to show our kids and let them hear the owls as well. And we'll also see deer walking through. We'll see elk off in the distance, depending where you're at, but you will see elk in the Animas Valley. We've also seen moose going for hikes. We've also seen many different birds. We see turkey vultures, we see eagles, we see red-tailed hawks, and these aren't just like once a year type of sightings. We'll see all of those birds almost weekly, and there's so many other just amazing birds that we'll hear. We'll see red-winged blackbirds. We will see a lot of different woodpeckers as well as many other birds and just many other animals as well. We'll see a lot of squirrels, chipmunks, and just all these animals throughout a daily basis. So it really is just a peaceful, amazing environment living here in Durango. Something else I want to emphasize, it's very easy to get to the river. There's so many different public access points to the river, as well as many lakes throughout Durango. So we've got Lake Pastoris, which is south of town. Then we've got several lakes up north of town, Lake Haviland, Lake Electra. Then going west of town, you've got Lake Nighthorse. So you've got really lakes all around you. There's not really a part of Durango where you don't have water access. Then going into Bayfield, you've got the Pine River running through Bayfield. You've got the Animas River running through Durango. So you have so much water all throughout Durango. So it's so easy to just kind of be in that peaceful setting. And the next point I want to make is you really can get to know your neighbors here in Durango. We have a population of a little over 19,500 people in city limits. And it's really a town where, I'll give you a quick example. My wife was going to take the kids to the Powerhouse, a great little museum for kids. And in a span of a couple hours of hanging out with the kids there, she saw 2 or 3 other moms that were friends of hers that were there with their kids. Got to hang out with them, talk to them, enjoy some good time with them when she didn't even set up a time to meet with them and actually hang out. And I'll see other friends as I go into coffee shops to work almost all the time. If I'm there at a coffee shop for 2 or 3 hours, I'll see other friends walk in, be able to say hi, talk for a little bit, and that's really just a common thing here in Durango just because of the size of the town. There's only, 5 or 6 different coffee shops and they're all really good, so you'll see a lot of friends just walking downtown or eating at a restaurant. The other thing is I genuinely feel that people are very neighborly here, very friendly, and just very helpful. And I don't see that as much in some bigger towns that I used to live in. So I used to live in San Diego, I lived in Albuquerque, I lived in Maui. It's definitely much more that way in Maui. But in Durango, what I find is in my neighborhood specifically, I was working on a project the other day, had my garage door open, and was having some trouble with something. A neighbor just walked by on their daily walk. They saw I was having some trouble. He went down to his garage, grabbed some tools, came back, helped me fix it, and it was done. I didn't even ask for help. Another example is I was asking a friend of mine about what his neighborhood is like so that I could shoot a video all about his neighborhood. And he said the #1 reason we love living in our neighborhood, which this is actually Forest Lakes over in Bayfield, the #1 reason he loves it is people are so helpful and friendly. When they were away for a week or so, people were helping take their trash in, they were helping plow their driveway. They're really going out of their way to help them. Another quick example is when my wife just gave birth to our son Oliver, who's now 2 years old. Our neighbors were actually helping plow our driveway, which is again a huge help, and we're getting a lot of snow that year. So this was no 1-inch plow that took 10-20 minutes. It was a lot more work, and they were helping us out, and it was a huge help. So people really go out of their way to help each other here. I could go on and give you way more stories, but I genuinely feel that here in Durango. It's not just something I want to tell you guys to say, hey, you got to move here, it's such a great place. Really is something that's genuine. And Durango really does give many opportunities to meet your neighbors and to meet people in town. So they've got things like Parade of Lights, Snowdown, which is a week-long festival with all different kinds of things going on. They'll do games, they'll do many different things. They'll have a parade going through town. They'll have different plays going on, so many different events all throughout town throughout the entire week. And then there are several different neighborhoods that do a great job of actually putting on concerts for the neighborhood themselves. Places like Three Springs, places like Twin Buttes, many other neighborhoods do a lot of just little events. The ranch up north in the Animas Valley is actually having a concert with a well-known guitar player actually just coming up in a couple weeks as well, just for another example. Because of that sense of community, there really is just this sense of trust and safety in and throughout Durango. Now, I'm not going to say that there's not crime I want to be very clear with that, but I want to say that a lot of our friends who have kids that are teenagers in that 9 to 15 to 18-year-old range, you'll see them biking to school, maybe 5-10 blocks away, maybe half a mile to a mile away. You'll also see kids playing in the streets without their parents standing out there watching them. You'll just see a lot more sense of community, safety, and trust in neighbors and in your community here in Durango. And what we do outdoors isn't just a weekend thing, but it's part of everyday life. So now I'm going to go into telling you all about what it's like to live here in Durango combined with the outdoors. So next, I'm going to show you what it means to really live in nature's playground here in Durango. So like I said, I really want to talk about how the outdoors aren't just close, they're really part of everyday life for most people that live here in Durango. So I really want to start by telling you where I'm standing. I'm here in Rotary Park with the Animas River Trail right behind me. That's about 8.5 miles of paved river trail. They're actually redoing part of the river trail now, just to give you a little bit of an update on what's going on in Durango. Over my shoulder is the Animas River. It does follow the river and is really, really pretty throughout it. Like I mentioned earlier, you will hear and see eagles, you'll see red-tailed hawks flying over the river almost on a daily basis, especially throughout the summer. And you'll see other animals, you'll see deer walking across the river, and it's a really, really fun place to just ride your bike, walk, go for a run. And then right here behind me that I'm actually standing in is Rotary Park, and on the other side of me, let's actually turn around the camera, and then right behind me is the Animas Brewing Company, and on the other side of me over there is the fish hatchery. So you've got so many cool little amenities, little things to do right around this spot, which is really close to downtown Durango. We're about a 5-6 minute walk from downtown Durango right here at Rotary Park. So I wanted to start by kind of talking about where I'm standing, give you a feel for what it's like right here on the Animas River Trail, and then really tell you how the outdoors is just part of everyday life. So the first example to illustrate that is we have over 100 miles of amazing trails within city limits. And then we've got over 300 miles of trails within 30 minutes of downtown Durango. So you have an absolute ton of trails, and you've got a really good variety of trails as well. I'm going to mention a video that we just recently shot with a 14-year-old where I interviewed her when she was actually doing an internship with me, and she talked all about the different trails, went into details on how she liked the trails. So we'll actually put the thumbnail up here on the screen of that video. We just shot it a couple of weeks ago, so it should be really easy to find, and she goes into much more detail on the trails specifically. But one thing I want to mention is the Mesa Bike Park. This is a trail system that they're working on right now. It has several different downhill bike trails, and there's an intermediate, there's a beginner, and there's some other advanced trails as well. And they're doing a lot more with that park, and it's going to be really, really incredible, and already is. Then I also forgot to mention the Colorado Trail. Now, if you know anything about trails, you probably know that the Colorado Trail goes from Denver all the way down here to Durango. That's 500 miles long. The section here in Durango is really pretty and goes right along a nice little river. Then I want to illustrate what a day might look like for me. So I might go for a run on the Animas River Trail in the morning, or go for a hike/run on a trail like Stevens Creek up in the Animas Valley that's only about 10 minutes from downtown Durango, which within 10 minutes or so of hiking or running, you're getting stunning views of the Animas Valley on that trail. And a trail that my wife loves to hike is Animas Mountain, which is right here in town Durango. To give you a few variations of mornings, we might either go for a run on the trail here or go for a hike/run on one of those trails. And then in the evening, especially in the summer, I really love paddleboarding on the Animas River. So a public access point is Oxbow. So going from Oxbow to town is a really great route, but you could also go from Dalton Ranch area to in town, or to Oxbow, I should say, which would take a little bit longer. That's about 3 to 4 hour paddleboard ride. So there's many different ways that you can just fit every day, fit the outdoors into your life in just a normal work day. So you don't have to make it a 30-minute to an hour drive to do what you're gonna do. When I mention paddleboarding, you really can be in the water, have your paddleboard pumped up and in the water within about 15 minutes on the long end if you're working or living in town Durango or close to in town Durango. So another thing, if you're not gonna do a paddleboard ride after work, going for a bike ride after work is super easy as well, just like I mentioned a minute ago. Then I can't talk about fitting the outdoors into your everyday life without talking about skiing. So you got Purgatory Ski Resort exactly 29 minutes from where I'm standing here, which I'm only about a minute drive from downtown Durango here at Rotary Park. right on the Animas River Trail. So you got Purgatory Ski Resort there. Keep in mind, kids ski free if they're 12 years or younger. Really, really cool. I don't think they have anything like that up near Denver or a lot of these other bigger resorts. Then we've also got some great cross-country skiing, backcountry skiing as well. Some of the best backcountry skiing in all of the country, and some great cross-country skiing options from an area up near Purgatory. You've also got the golf course here at Hillcrest that has groomed trails as well. Now, if you haven't seen some of my other videos, you might not be aware that Durango only gets about 67 inches of snow in town Durango, but then if you want to go skiing, we get about 18 feet of snow up at Purgatory Ski Resort on average. So what's really phenomenal about here is we're not at much higher elevations right in town, whereas a lot of these other ski resort towns are, and you're moving there and you're getting a ton of snow at your home, you're having to deal with all that snow, whereas in Durango you aren't, but you only drive less than 30 minutes to a great ski resort. So there is that nice factor compared to a lot of other mountain towns, and I've got some other videos where I compare all those mountain towns. We'll put that thumbnail up right here. Something else that is really, really special about Durango is you can be skiing in the morning, and within about, to be exact, about an hour and a half, little less than an hour and a half, be in Farmington, New Mexico, where it's about 12-ish degrees warmer and much, much less snow, and be actually on the trails mountain biking there. Now, it's a little trickier to be actually mountain biking in Durango on the same day if we got a lot of snow and the trails are covered in snow, of course. But you could be fat tire biking, or you could drive down to Farmington or Aztec, New Mexico, where there's some great trails. Alien is one of the trails my dad and I really enjoy, and my wife as well. Then in the spring through the fall, you'll see people rafting, tubing, kayaking, and even surfing here in Durango at the Whitewater Park. Then Durango arguably has the best fly fishing in all of Colorado, and especially is one of the best points to drive from. If you take maybe an hour radius around Durango and look at all of the fisheries, all the rivers, all the high alpine lakes, as well as the San Juan River, which is south of downtown Durango, just across the border. They are an absolutely amazing fishery as well. I believe they have about 20,000 fish per mile, if I remember right. And I actually grew up fishing on that river. So I have some great memories of fishing in and around Durango, and highly recommend taking out a guide. Either use San Juan anglers or Duranglers. Take out a guide. It'll be the best money you spent if you haven't and don't understand fly fishing really well. I also really recommend considering some of these high alpine lakes, checking out some areas like Mullis Lake, Haviland Lake, some of those higher lakes that are tougher to get to that you might need a hike or four-wheel drive into. And those are just really, really special times, just being up there alone and enjoying the fishing up there. As you can tell, I'm super passionate about fly fishing, so feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you more about it and connect you with some of my friends that fly fish as well. Now, I don't know the validity of this, but I was told by an investor that was looking at investing in some of these big box fast food restaurants that they really don't like investing in places like Durango in our county, especially because we are one of the healthiest counties in all of the country. So keep that in mind when you come here. You're gonna really find some other people that love to do the same things you do. If you love to do things outdoors, even if you just like to go for a hike, go for an easy bike ride, very easy to find friends that love doing those other things. From biking to hiking to bird watching, so many different hobbies here that involves just about anything outdoors. I was actually just talking to some people that really moved here because of the train. They work on the train and they love building model trains. So there's so many different hobbies that don't necessarily always involve the outdoors either. So we've seen that Durango is basically a playground for outdoor lovers, but that's not all it is. It's not just biking and kayaking. We do a lot more, and we have a lot more to offer. So now we're gonna go downtown, tell you about some things that we have to offer downtown. If that's more your vibe, if you're more curious, hey, do they have the concerts and the restaurants and the stores that I'm really looking for? Let's talk about that now. Now, downtown Durango is really unique in that it has cowboy-era saloons, while on the other side of the street, it has trendy cafes, coffee shops, as well as art galleries and your tourist type shops as well. Now, I'm just gonna briefly go over some of the events that Durango has, as I've spoken about some of these others in a lot more details in other videos, and we'll throw up a video right here where we spoke a lot about these. And one thing I did was I walked downtown and showed you a lot of different shops, talked about some of the things that I loved about them, showed you some of the restaurants as well. So we'll put that up there if downtown Durango, learning about town is really important to you. And right now I'll just go over some of the major events and things that we have to offer. So the first one is Snowdown. It's a week-long winter festival with over 100 different events. They have things from outhouse races to beard contests. They have plays, they have concerts, they have many different things going on. And it's a really, really fun time. Right in the middle of winter, so it's a really good way to kind of break up the winter as well. Then we have Durango Independent Film Festival, which I really enjoy every year. I've had the opportunity to see some really cool fly fishing films in the past. We've also got some really great music and art scene. So Buckley Park has free concerts every single week throughout the summer. And it's a really great time. The park is absolutely packed out with people. There are probably, I don't know, 500-600 people sitting in the park, somewhere around there. And they've got some great pizza for sale right in the middle of the park as well. Really fun dancing. A lot of people are dancing and just enjoying themselves in the park. I want to say it's on Tuesday evenings, but we'll double check and put that up on the screen here as well. Then there are a lot of different local restaurants and bars that have some great live music. There's also Fort Lewis College that has some really amazing concerts. They bring in people from all across the world. They just had the Celtic Festival that was absolutely phenomenal. Highly recommend going to the Celtic Festival and checking it out. It can be a little bit pricey, but definitely worth going. Then we've got the Ironworks Bicycle Classic. Now they do a race from Durango to Silverton, which is a really tough ride, and a ton of people do it, but that's not the only thing they do. They have different races for kids. They have many different types of bike races. They've got a lot of different events going on during that time as well. It's not just the races. And I also want to emphasize we have a lot of different farm-to-table restaurants. You're not going to see your cheesecake factories and bigger types of restaurants here in Durango. You're going to see a lot more local restaurants, especially as you come downtown. Again, just emphasizing that farm-to-table. A great place to check out is a place called James Ranch. I highly recommend James Ranch. They're actually up in the Animas Valley, and they do a private dinner that you can reserve. I want to say it's a 4 or 5 course dinner where they talk you through all of the different items, where they're from, and kind of have this nice interactive meal. Some of my clients actually just recently ate at that dinner and really enjoyed it and told me that I definitely should recommend that to you guys. We'll put up some more information on that dinner on the screen right now as well. Now, just to talk a little bit more about the culture, I want to talk about what you'll see people wearing. A lot of the times you'll see people wearing flannels in the winter, puffy jackets, down jackets. You'll see a lot of people just wearing hiking clothes, look like they just came from the river or from a hike or from a run as well. Then in the winter, you'll see people that look like they just came from the ski lift, or they're just about to head out skiing, or even cross-country skiing or snowshoeing. Very, very casual feel here. You don't even see a lot of people dressed up. You rarely see a tie or a nice suit, jacket, or tux in Durango at all. Now you'd think with the incredible outdoors, the massive amount of trails, the river running right through town, you'd think there would be so many people and it'd be bumper to bumper traffic and we'd just be a lot more commercialized, but we're really not. We're really still the best kept secret. And this is where I want to head over to the Animas River over at Baker's Bridge and talk to you about that now. Let's head over there. Now the next reason is Durango really still feels like a hidden gem. Now Durango is in the southwest corner of Colorado and we're about 3.5 hours from Albuquerque, about 6.5 hours from Denver. Now, with that in mind, there isn't a main highway interstate that goes through Durango, so it's a lot tougher to get here. Trickier to fly in here. There are some flights, but it's not easy to get flights and a little bit more expensive to fly in here as well. Flying out of here can be similar, but if you're coming here for Durango, most of the times you can overlook that. And of course, if you have questions on details with flights out of here, let me know. I've also got other videos where I dive into a lot more details on the flights out of here. The other thing that really is worth mentioning are the home prices. If you compare any other mountain town to Durango, really our home prices are near the bottom as far as how expensive we are compared to all of these other mountain towns. One of the most affordable mountain towns out of all of Colorado. And that's really saying something because Durango is really, really special. Now, I did a video all about the comparisons of Durango to other mountain towns. Let's put that up on the screen so you can see the thumbnail for that. and you can look that up on our channel. We'll also make sure to put the link in the description. And in that video, I go into a lot of details as to why, first of all, our temperatures are a lot better. We're a lot more milder climate in the winter. We also get a lot less snow in Durango, especially in town Durango, than a lot of other mountain areas. So we have things like whitewater rafting, amazing fly fishing, canoeing, biking, hiking, really amazing biking, just to go back to the biking thing. We have some new trails that they're working on and that they've put up in the last couple of years as well that are right in town Durango. We have some great downhill mountain biking over at Purgatory Ski Resort and a bunch of other activities at Purgatory for the family as well. Great hiking right in town Durango. I had a client just the other day kind of comparing Montrose, Colorado to Durango, and we were talking about how you really do have mountain biking trails right out your back door from most neighborhoods, or a really quick walk or bike ride to many different biking trails and hiking trails. Versus places like Montrose or Grand Junction, you don't quite have that same access. And where you do have the same access in these other mountain towns, you don't have the same variability of, beginner, intermediate to advanced trails. A lot of these other mountain towns just have some really advanced trails as a whole. So those are some other comparisons that I was discussing with a client of mine just the other day as well. Then the other thing you really want to be aware of is Durango is really bound by public land and the topography around it. So going north of downtown Durango, you've got steep mountains on both sides of you, so it's very tough to build in this area. There's not many vacant lots left. Going east of town, you do get more developable land, but not a lot by any means. If you guys go on Realtor Zillow and just look at the land options out there, there are some bigger plots of land, but nothing compared to your areas around places like Pueblo, Colorado Springs, areas around Denver. You just don't have that kind of topography. And then we have the Indian Reservation south of us, and there's quite a bit of land around us that you can't build on as well. Then going west of us, you have a lot of trickier topography as well, and just a lot of bigger acreage that are owned by single private landowners as well. So it just is tough to develop. You'll see there's not a lot of development going on. There is some, so again, reach out to me if you're looking to build or looking for a new build. There is a little bit, and you definitely can find some great builders here, but there's nothing compared to a lot of these bigger towns. Then another reason a lot of my clients love visiting here when they're looking at homes is we have very little chain stores or chain restaurants. A lot of my clients are like, yeah, I don't need that. I'm good with coming here and getting away from all of that from these bigger cities. So another reason that a lot of people love coming here over even some of these other mountain towns like Aspen and Vail. Now, I do want to mention tourism. We definitely still get our fair share of tourists. We get close to 1 million tourists per year, and a lot of that is in the summer, although we get a lot of people coming from Texas, New Mexico, and surrounding areas for Purgatory Ski Resort. What's great about Purgatory is you can be on the mountain. Let's say you're staying or living downtown Durango, for example. You can be on the mountain skiing within about 40 minutes or less. That's talking about parking, getting your gear out, getting on the lift, and actually being on the snow. So that is very, very accessible compared to a lot of other places like, again, Aspen, Vail, Breckenridge. A lot of these areas, a lot of my clients are telling me they're taking 2-3 hours in the car to get there, bumper to bumper traffic, that kind of thing. A client of mine asked me today or yesterday about bumper to bumper traffic, and we really don't have that. It really doesn't exist. I mean, really what traffic looks like here, what rush hour traffic looks like here is you are either in a snowstorm or you are waiting for some deer or elk to cross the road, or maybe some turkeys. Really, that's Durango for you. And, we don't get a ton of snow compared to a lot of these other areas like I mentioned. Then a question clients ask me fairly often is it tough to find parking at trailheads? Because they're coming from places like Denver, Colorado Springs, Salt Lake City, where it's tough to even find parking at these trailheads. And no, the answer is no. I've never seen a time where it's actually tough to find parking at a trailhead, whereas a lot of the times there's, 10, 20 spots open for cars. And a lot of the times people will walk or bike to the trailhead because they're so accessible, especially in town, but even in areas like in the Animas Valley or west of town, like Three Springs, they'll just walk or bike to the trailhead as well. Then another question I sometimes get from people moving here from out of state is, will I be accepted into Durango's local community? And absolutely, it's not going to be an issue. I think the main thing I always like to just recommend and just encourage you is just be respectful. You know, I'm sure you guys all will, but just really being respectful of the trails, of the rules around the trails. You know, having your dog leashed if the trail says to have your dog leashed, not bringing your dog on a trail if it says not to. However, that's typically not an issue. You know, not riding your e-bike on a trail where it says you're not allowed to, things like that. You know, just following the community rules and guidelines and things along that nature, and just really respecting the trails and the area around you. Then I just want to talk a little bit about the recognition. So Durango has been ranked number 3 best town in America by livability for towns under 20,000 residents, and often makes best places to live in other outdoor magazines as well. So we really do rank on a lot of different lists. We've also been ranked on several top places for mountain biking, as I believe we, at least at one point, had the most biking Olympians living here in Durango out of all of the country. Now with those rankings, Durango is still uncrowded and genuine, which is really a rare combination. I really want to emphasize we are still very uncommercialized. You don't see a lot of these commercial big box stores here in Durango. And again, when you go on these trails, you don't see a ton of people on the trails. You see a lot of people just saying hi, really being respectful, cleaning up after themselves. And it's just a really great place to live. Now throughout this video, I've tried to show you that Durango really encapsulates that peaceful pace, everyday community, genuine adventure, and still is really a hidden gem. And so that's something I really want to emphasize, that all through Colorado, most towns don't have that unique factor and all of those different factors that Durango has. So as someone that moved from much bigger cities, from San Diego to Albuquerque, as well as helps many other people relocate to Durango, I would love to help you guys out as well. And if you're even thinking about moving here, just give me a call, text, or email. Again, my name is Jon Burden. Love to hop on a call with you or a Zoom call and just go over your criteria, really help dial you in with the right areas for you, really help answer a lot of those questions that you might be not sure of, just on the fence of, just unsure if Durango is the right place for you. Really help you answer that either way. Just give me a call, text, or email. Would love to connect with you. Looking forward to talking to you guys soon. Thanks for watching.